Hi, I'm Coral Kite. I'm a remote viewer with the Hellfire remote viewing group. And I'm going to talk to you very quickly. I'm not going to say very much about the work I did for Henny in this absolutely fascinating project. There's not much I can say to add to her magnificent presentation. And very interesting working for Henny. There's something about some taskers getting really good work out of you because of the feedback loop. So this worked for me really well, and I really enjoyed doing this. But of course, it's not something that we'll get feedback for probably in our lifetime. So just very quickly, the target number was 39826536, and I did one retasking, which was composed of 4 different questions. I've collected both together in this. So I start off feeling that there's a natural man-made. In other words, there's land that's been altered in some way. I feel that the alteration is also somehow organic, but it's very interesting that I feel it's silicone and gel-like. The inside of this place was soft. It felt like being in like mm, a gel ice. It's closed in, but it's illuminated, so it feels watery inside. It was a very interesting space to be in. I didn't feel at all claustrophobic. I always felt that there was space. I wasn't panicking or anything. And when I say I feel like time has gone slushy, I think I'm actually talking about the different gravity that's in there. So I believe that that's an opening in, and this is some way of traveling great distances. That's one of the tunnels, and I call it watery land, gel-like curving. That's biological inside for size. But there are windows, there's ice, there's a gel-like feeling, and there's definitely light inside. So I feel that they're biologicals. They do have eyes, but I cannot seem to see properly what the mouth is. And the mouth definitely feels as though it has some, or it doesn't have a mouth, or it has a cord. I do go back to them in the retask and draw them in more detail, and I'm getting long, elongated heads and really big eyes. Again, the mouth doesn't seem to be present, or if it is, it's just a small hole. Again, you can see on this portrait on the right that there's something, it's like a slit or something. These creatures glide more than walking, and that might have something to do with their gravity. And their natural enemies are some kind of dragon-like creature that could be outside. It feels like a poisonous dragon, is what I felt. It's coming back again. Maybe it's the Draco race that are around. Uh, Traveling there, there's some kind of energy that allows these biologicals, that allows the creatures inhabiting this planet to be in connection with other planets. I'm pretty sure they travel. That's a sky ladder, there's space travel, they are connected. And they do it somehow in this strange way that feels like they decompose themselves and then they recompose themselves. I'm not sure how it's done. I can't imagine it, but it definitely felt like a decomposing, a way of traveling through state change. And it reminds me of precious jewels, as though the soul's in a ruby. This is some kind of drawing of how that traveling actually takes place. I have no idea how this works, but I know that they do it. There was definitely a feeling of them being able to travel. So here I go visiting. This is in the secondary task. I go visiting back, and the feeling of being inside them is actually like one being in a salt room, in a salt cave. So I recognize that feeling. And again, the vortex feeling, it's a rotating kind of descent. There is illumination. I go into a wormhole. Now, there's definitely a feeling of being able to pass through a membrane, and there's a state changing. Again, I have the state changing. The membrane that protects this inner world changes state to become permeable so that you can just pop through. So again, when I refer to soul, some kind of soul, it's like the energy comes with you and then you rematerialize. So you dematerialize and then you rematerialize. So there, from gelatinous to dry, salty, pressurized to falling. So back in a material body, you fall into it. Inside, I'm seeing differing levels, but also very beautiful architecture. I had a very slight crossover with um, internal temples in our earth. I felt that it was a bit like Petra, uh, carved into the rock, but it's very beautiful and it's golden, and there's definitely illumination. It feels like rock. I focus in on the columns. Now, the columns have these beautiful decorations, very fine. The workmanship is extraordinary, it's exquisite. But the top of the columns, the capitello of the column, has a flower, and in the middle of this flower, it feels like a jewel. It has a metal bracelet around it. It's gold, most probably. It's something very similar to gold, and it's only microns thin, and the interaction between that jewel and the metal bracelet around the top of the column is what creates energy and what illuminates the whole of the inside of this planet. So that's all I really have to share. I think that's more than enough. Let me just stop sharing. It was fascinating to visit. I think everybody went back really happily, and it was tasked in a really interesting way that we didn't know what we were being retasked on. I have some crossover in my retasking, but I thought it was really interesting. So thank you for the wonderful target, Henny, and thank you for watching.